The information provided in this podcast is for general informational purposes only and does not constitute legal advice. Listening to this podcast does not create an attorney-client relationship with Foyle Legal. For advice tailored to your situation, please consult a qualified legal professional. Welcome to WA Injury Claims Explained, your trusted source for understanding personal injury claims in Western Australia. Each week, we simplify complex legal issues, from motor vehicle accidents to workplace injuries, so you can confidently navigate your rights and claim the compensation you deserve.
Hey everyone, buckle up, because today we're taking a bit of a road trip for this deep dive.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, but not one for the faint of heart, really.
Okay.
We're diving into Australia's most dangerous roads.
Right.
And it's an article from Foyle Legal.
Interesting.
And, you know, they're the legal eagles, so they see it all.
They do, yeah.
The aftermath.
They really see the sharp end of why these roads have the reputation they do.
Exactly.
What I find fascinating is that they've gone beyond just, like, listing them.
Yeah.
It's not just a list of, here are the roads to avoid. They're really trying to get into the why.
Yeah, and that's kind of what...
Which is what we're going to dig into today.
That's what we're doing today, is we're not just giving you a list of roads to avoid because, you know, you're not... Well, you provided this article, so...
Well, that's the thing.
We're going to dig into those factors.
I think the important thing to remember is that the things that make these particular roads dangerous apply everywhere.
This is true.
This isn't about avoiding this specific 10 kilometers of road.
Right.
It's about
the why.
The why, exactly.
Yeah.
And that's what makes it relevant to every driver.
It does, whether you're a seasoned road tripper or just on your daily commute.
100%.
So, first up,
yeah,
we're going to talk about something we encounter every time we get behind the wheel.
Okay.
And it's that human behavior.
Yeah.
Or in this case, the driver behavior.
Wild card.
It is.
Road.
The article calls out highways like the Hume and the Pacific, both in New South Wales, notorious for those fatigue-related accidents. Tailgating.
Oh, especially on the Hume. With the evening sun.
Oh, with the evening sun glare near Elizabeth Drive.
Yeah.
Ugh. And just driver inattention.
Yeah.
I think we've all been guilty of that last one.
It's so easy to think, oh, I'm a good driver, these things won't happen to me.
Right.
But the reality is we're all susceptible to cognitive biases.
Yes.
Especially when we're behind the wheel.
Yes.
For example, confirmation bias.
Okay.
Our brains tend to see what we expect, even if it's not really there.
It's like when you're convinced that car in the next lane is going to merge into you, even though they probably have no idea you exist.
Precisely. That assumption, that confirmation that they're going to cut you off, can make you react in a way that actually causes an accident.
Okay. That's scary.
Yeah.
And it shows how much our own perceptions, which, again, can be skewed.
They can be very skewed.
Can contribute to the danger.
Exactly. And this is just one bias.
Okay.
Let's talk about normalcy bias.
Normalcy bias. What's that?
Think of it this way. We assume that because a situation has always been a certain way, it will continue to be so.
Okay.
So because I've driven down the street 100 times and nothing bad has happened.
Got it. So because I've driven down the street 100 times and nothing bad has happened.
You assume it'll be fine the 101st time, right? But on the road, conditions can change in an instant. You might be cruising on a familiar road, but remember, conditions change. Ask yourself, what if a truck pulls out from that hidden driveway right now? That shift in mindset can be life-saving.
That's a really good point. It reminds me of those times I've been stuck behind someone driving way under the speed limit, completely oblivious to the line of cars piling up behind them. It's frustrating, sure, but it also highlights how our own expectations can be shattered in a split second.
Yeah, and speaking of being caught off guard.
Yeah.
Let's shift gears a little bit from driver behavior to something that can turn even a perfectly calm driver into a nervous road design and infrastructure.
Ah, yes, because sometimes it's not just us drivers who are the problem, right?
Sometimes the road itself is.
Yeah, and this is where I think this article gets really interesting.
Yeah.
Because we're talking about those inherent risks that exist even before a car cranks its engine.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And some roads just have more of those than others.
They do.
Take, for example, the Great Western Highway in New South Wales.
Yes.
A road notorious for its winding paths and steep drops.
Yeah, the article mentions that one, and it paints a pretty daunting picture, especially for anyone who isn't a fan of heights.
Yeah.
It's like the road itself is testing your courage, but like in a way that has very real consequences.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And then you have roads like the Bruce Highway in Queensland, infamous for its narrow lanes and rough surfaces.
Yeah.
Add in the ever-present risk of flooding, and you've got a recipe for disaster.
Yeah, and the article highlights that it's not just those major issues that create danger, right? Like it talks about the Warrego Highway, also in Queensland,
Right.
which suffers from rough lanes and poor road shoulders. Now, I'm no engineer, but how much of a difference can a shoulder really make?
You'd be surprised. You see, something as simple as a poorly maintained shoulder
Okay.
can significantly increase the severity of an accident.
Really?
Think about it. If a driver has to swerve to avoid an obstacle,
Okay.
like a fallen tree limb or even an animal,
Right.
and there's no safe space to recover,
Yeah.
they could end up in oncoming traffic or rolling down an embankment.
Right.
It's like having a safety net that's full of holes.
Okay. I never thought about it that way, but that makes a lot of sense.
Yeah.
And it seems like even those like seemingly minor flaws in road design can have major consequences, especially when you combine them with other risk factors like weather or, driver error.
Absolutely. And while we can't control the weather, understanding these potential hazards can help drivers make more informed decisions.
Sure.
And hopefully avoid those worst-case scenarios.
So we've talked about how our own behavior behind the wheel and the roads themselves can create some risky situations.
Right.
But let's be honest.
Yeah.
There's one more major factor that often comes into play,
Okay.
especially when we talk about highways like the ones that are mentioned in this article.
Yeah.
And that's traffic volume and congestion.
Yeah.
It's like the more cars you try to cram onto one stretch of road,
Yeah.
the higher the chances are that something's going to go wrong.
It's almost like a law of physics, isn't it?
Right.
The article throws out a whole bunch of examples.
Yeah.
Talking about Monaro Highway in the ACT, Canberra Avenue, Logan Road up in Queensland,
Right.
Gympie Road.
It goes on and on.
It goes on.
And it's not just those major highways either.
Yeah.
The article even calls out Argyle Street in Hobart,
Yeah.
West Terrace in Adelaide.
Yeah. Makes sense if you think about
Those busy city
It's the
streets.
sheer volume of vehicles.
Yeah.
It's not just that each car represents a potential accident, it's the ripple effect.
Right.
Heavy traffic, shorter reaction times, increased driver stress,
Totally.
higher likelihood of those chain reaction collisions.
Oh, tell me about it. I can feel my anxiety levels rising just thinking about being stuck in bumper-to-bumper traffic.
Exactly. And that stress,
Yeah.
that feeling of being boxed in can lead to impatience, frustration,
Sure.
ultimately more aggressive driving behaviors.
Oh, yeah.
And even if you, as a driver, manage to keep your cool,
Yeah.
all it takes is one other person to make an impulsive lane change,
Right.
misjudge a gap in traffic,
It's all over.
and suddenly a fender bender becomes a major pileup.
Yeah, it's like a recipe for disaster.
It is. And the thing is, this isn't just an issue during peak hours, right?
Right.
Think about it. School zones, shopping districts, even major events.
Oh, yeah.
These can all drastically impact traffic patterns throughout the day and week.
Which is something we don't always think about when we're getting behind the wheel.
No.
It's not just about avoiding rush hour.
Yeah.
It's all those other things that could be happening
All those other things.
that
Exactly.
might contribute to that congestion.
Right. Which is why
Yeah.
being aware of your surroundings and anticipating those potential hazards
Yes.
can make all the difference.
Yes.
If you know a particular road is prone to congestion,
Right.
or there's a major event happening nearby, try adjusting your travel plans if possible.
Okay.
Or, at the very least, allowing extra time for your trip.
Solid advice.
Yeah.
Now, before we put this deep dive into Can Park,
Okay.
there were a couple of surprising insights from the article that I wanted to touch on.
Okay.
First off, the article mentions that Tasmania's Bass Highway, specifically that stretch between 9 Mile Road and Stowport Road,
Right.
has a surprisingly high accident rate.
Okay.
What makes that so unexpected?
Well, unlike those other highways we've talked about, this stretch of road is known for its relatively low traffic volume.
So it's not the congestion that's the problem.
Right.
So what gives?
That's a great question. It's a good reminder that even seemingly quiet roads can harbor their own unique dangers. In the case of the Bass Highway, it's likely a combination of factors.
Sure.
Think winding roads, challenging weather conditions, and perhaps even a false sense of security amongst drivers because of that low traffic volume.
Right, because it lulls you into that, oh, this is fine.
Exactly.
I can just kind of zone out a little bit.
100%. Yeah.
Which is never good.
Never good.
Never good.
No.
On a slightly more positive note,
Okay.
the article also highlights Victoria Road in New South Wales, which has actually seen a decrease in accident rates recently thanks to those safety improvements.
Yeah, that's great.
So they've actually gone in, they've done some work, and they've made it safer.
Yeah, it's proof that proactive measures can make a real difference. It's not just about identifying the problem areas, it's about taking action to make those roads safer.
It makes you wonder what other roads out there could benefit from those same initiatives.
Yeah, absolutely.
So what does all of this mean for you? You, our listener, who provided this list for us to deep dive into.
I hope we've given you some valuable insights about the factors that can make a road dangerous, not just in Australia, but anywhere in the world, really.
And look, we've covered everything from those inherent risks in road design to, frankly, the way that our own minds can play tricks on us behind the wheel.
Yeah.
But most importantly, I hope that this deep dive just encourages you to be a safer, more aware, and just more responsible driver.
Because ultimately, the safest journey is one that's taken with knowledge, caution, and a healthy dose of respect for the road and everyone on it.
Couldn't have said it better myself. Now, for that final thought-provoking question that we like to leave you with, in an age of increasingly sophisticated vehicle technology, we've got things like self-driving cars coming.
Yeah, becoming more and more prevalent.
Exactly. And all those advanced driver assistance systems. Do you think we'll ever be able to completely eliminate the dangers of driving? Or will human error always be a factor? Something to ponder on that next commute.
100%.
Until next time, drive safe, everyone.
Thank you for listening to WA Injury Claims Explained by Foyle Legal. We hope this episode helped clarify your rights and next steps in your injury claim. Don't forget to subscribe, leave a review, and visit foylelegal.com for more useful information. See you next time.